Alright, here she is. Got the blanket up here because we were painting the roof there and didn't want to get overspray on the window. I can go and take it down now. Alright, here she is again. This is just primer coat. Had a white primer coat, now it's a black primer coat. I didn't, take any of these dents or anything out. I just covered it so it'd have a decent coat of paint on it. That wasn't spray on like hot pink or something. Whatever that color was, purplish something. You'll see it in the pictures and stuff. Currently, we are running a few new wires. The fuel gauge wasn't working when we got it. Then it started to work, but then it stopped working again because there was a stick that got up under the truck and we were dragging it, and it pulled some wires, which disconnected the brake lights and everything as well. So we fixed that, but we never fixed the fuel gauge, which we're attempting to fix now. So better look at it in the daytime. You've got the CB up on the roof here. It's only held on by one screw right now on the top on the bracket so that I could swivel if I need to, but I'm probably going to put another one in. It's got the LED inside the dome light, and it's got the LED strip that goes around. It's not plugged in at the moment. I have to get some kind of connector for it. I broke the other one. It's got spray insulation to keep bugs and air and water and stuff out. Plan is, the longer I have it, the more I'm going to do to it. Probably extend the back to put another row seat in. It's got the center console here with the new fuel filter and the new oil filter that we're going to put on here in a couple of days. I've got a wigwag relay in there I was going to do a wigwag setup on the headlights so that if you're towing something, you can turn on your wigwags in the daytime. This one here opens like such, also opens like such. There's a rack up here. I'll put stuff in. I think we've got a couple things in there now, some pens and some stuff. The sound bar and the subwoofer will not be going with the truck. The inverter will not be going with the truck. However, the cable that goes to the outside will, and the cable that goes to the inverter will stay in the truck. So you can put your own in there if you wish. Seat belts and everything, they work. I don't use them. They're dirty as hell. These are just the bucket style seat belts. There's no lenses on these front marker lights because we did the red LEDs because I had broken one of these and they didn't come with extras. So we took them off and did red LEDs so that they're still marker lights. Sorry, he's still currently running the wire. Austin, you're going to run it through underneath the truck.
I know, but I'm checking something here.
Okay, well the key's on the off position.
Okay, the blue and black was the ground.
Ground?
Was the other end.
Okay. Alright, so it won't do anything till you turn the key to on position because it won't give it power. Yeah. So
on the on position?
It's not on the on position, I said.
Oh, right there.
Alright, so you can see the old fender well here. Well, the old fender guard or whatever, it's trashed and to cut that off.
Splash guard.
It's not a splash guard. It was decorative paneling to hide the ugly. This was the wheel well that we put over these wheel wells, but we turned them into chain boxes. This one holds tools, chain cutter. There's a jack over there. It won't really work for this truck because it's not tall enough, but when I do roadside or if I'm towing something, it'll work. Issues that we kind of have with it as I go along, I'll explain. We had to shorten the fuel hose here. The vacuum line was busted, so we put some copper pipe in from the truck itself. Just a quick fix. It's just a vent tube. This here we had to shorten because where it bent, it was cracked or cut from something. So we shortened it on there and there's no more leaks. The only thing is when you go to fill it now, you have to fill it like half mash, otherwise it'll just keep flooding out. It'll keep coming out the top. It's an easy fix. We were gonna run it all the way to the back there. So yeah, if you get a hose, you can run it all the way back up here. Take your angle bit, have it right there if you wanted. However you want to do it, it's to each his own. Eventually we'll do it if we have it for long enough. The way the bed sits right now, the way you load a vehicle, is we have a set of ramps that sit on top of here and that go under here so that it'll brace itself no matter if it tries to pop up or not. Vehicle comes up, and then right here we have a board that we set here. It's another 2x10 piece from this because this was too long, that when the vehicle goes across, it pushes this down. It's just plastic, and it goes across the top and it goes up to the front. It does have a hitch. We've used it once or twice. I don't know how much weight this contraption's weighted for, but I mean, it does fine. I hauled the cart ollie with a car on it and it was fine, but like I said, I wouldn't use it for too much. I would go ahead and put an actual hitch in like we were going to do, just haven't done it yet. We went ahead today and painted the other board, the one that wasn't painted, just one coat. We're gonna have to do a couple more, probably truck bed line it by the time we're done. Go across, the marker lights and everything are still here, and same thing on this side. Red LED and no cover. The other cover is inside the truck, so if you break one, you have one extra. This is the cable I was talking about from the inverter. When the inverter's on, that will light up, little red dot lights up, and you can plug in. We actually use the shop vac through it and it works just fine. There's a light up there above the farm use tag that screw came out of. I'll have to put it back up. That's LED, and that you can run to this as well, so you can turn on and off that light if you wanted to, or you can run a whole new setup. These are magnetic lights, however they are zip tied on to be more permanent, so that you have top mounted lights. They were just stuff we had laying around, makes it nicer. They run underneath this panel here to the other side, in that there's a piece like this on that side. I'll show you. Same thing with the backup lights. They run over there to that connector. Same thing with the Ooga horns. They go back to that connector. CB antenna is just magnetic. Goes to the side here. Could be done better. You can ground it and put it in the roof if you wanted to. This is just, like I said, it was get it functional and worry about the logistics of it later. It's a project. It's a do as you go type thing. Still have not tacked this up yet. I wanted to cut it, but I want to keep this board up here because this is where we're going to put the spare tires when I get them. Or you could rip this off and do what you wanted, you know, just weld a piece of metal in there, whatever you wanted to do. To each his own, like I said. But my goal would be just to hold it up like that and put a screw through up, and then put a 2x4 up here, screw into the 2x4, paint that. Keeps a little rack up there for you. Ladders, whatever else, tires, if you wanted to do my idea. There's the front end here. Headlights work, turn signal works. This socket here has a short. It's because it's old and rusty. We're going to try to clean it up. It's where sometimes the inside, when you turn on the headlights, the right turn signal light will stay on until you turn on the turn signal, and it'll blink, and then when it goes off, it stays on. And this doesn't work sometimes because of that old socket, but it's not one that you can just replace. It's the whole fixture. So if I can't get that one to work, I'm just going to LED it and be done with it. Essentially, I'm going to disconnect them completely. Well, I'm going to disconnect the turn signal part of them so they just light up and stay lit up. And then I'm going to run the turn signal blinker wire to a set of flashers I have that will bolt on the front of them as well. You can see there's still overspray on the bumper here from the pink. There's overspray on the turn signals from the chrome. None of that was done by us. There is overspray on this one and the other one for white, which was one of the primer coats. That was us, but it's just on the sides. This was already faded, so I was going to replace it anyway. This is just a lens. It's not a whole fixture. Mirror here is cracked, but it works fairly well enough. You can see there's the overspray and the rust on the handles. We're going to take it off, sand it up, paint them. To-do list. As you can see here, we didn't take off the flare symbol. We left it on there. We can take a heat gun, take it off, and then paint it and everything. We just left it on there because, like I said, it's a work truck. I mean, eventually we'll get it fixed up. If the longer we keep it, the more we'll do. Over here, you have the original side box that was on the truck. It doesn't have a door, but I did put 2 door hinges in there, like actual door hinges. And I had a board on there, but I knocked it off because I forgot and left it open. So you just got to put a board there. I'll do it eventually. I have some pallet wood I was going to use, just something simple. This is the battery box for the back, for the auxiliary battery. It slides right in. It keeps wanting to slide out on us. There's a door that's supposed to shut and keep it in. That was part of the old fixtures that we didn't have. So all we're going to do is drill a hole, put a bolt on both sides, so when it comes, it stops itself. Only ever really comes out if I take a turn, like it, drifting tires and stuff when I'm goofing off. Speaking of tires, as you can see, the outside has good tread, the inside has decent tread, but on the inside it's a little more worn. They're just old, dry rotted tires. I mean, they've worked. I've gone to Bedford and back a couple of times. They'll work, but I haven't gone that far with a heavy load. I've gone to Hatmatics with full of pallets, but if you have a truck on the back, you put more wear and tear and you have more chance of blowing one. So as I showed you this here, this is the taillight connector. They are actual taillights. I just wired them into that plug so that when you are towing a vehicle, let's say you have a trailer behind you as well, you can disconnect that and plug it in, or you can get a T-plug where you can plug 2 in. It just gives it more customizable options. Plus, if you cut a wire or break a wire, it's easy to replace. You don't have to go in here and rewire these, because that was a bitch, to be honest. This one here, you can see I cut square instead of oval because I didn't have the correct tool to do it. But they go in there, they're nice and tight, they won't come out. Well, they will if you pry the hell out of them to get them out. They won't come out on their own. I have 4 of these on the bed of the truck. One here, one there, one up there, and one over there. They are lined up and everything. They're on there good. I don't remember exactly what pound. I think like 5,000 pounds or something like that. But they're Harbor Freight. They're cheap. I mean, I've strapped cars now with them, but I wouldn't rely just on that. Normally what I do is you'll see, if you ever see it, there's holes in the deck here where I drill straight through these 4x4s here. I take them and I drill a very long screw through both of them to kind of just hold it. But the brakes and everything normally do you just fine with these straps, just to kind of balance it out. Those are just in case. See it back over here. Flashers are not hooked up yet. They're wired, just not hooked up yet. That's why the wires aren't hidden. That wire you see coming down around there, that's not for this. That's for the orange ambers. I just haven't put a switch on them yet. Come over here. Both doors seal. They don't leak, surprisingly. However, you do have to lift up on this door sometimes to open it. Need to probably tighten up one of these bolts somewhere. No carpet, no flooring of any kind. If I keep it for longer, I'm probably going to shock bed line the floor. Let's see what else we got over here. This side does also have the seat belt and does have the seat belt cover. I have the cover for the other side. I just haven't put it on there yet. Heat works. AC, I haven't really played with it. I mean, I know it comes on, the air gets cooler, but I don't know if it actually gets cold. It takes forever for this thing to warm up. Ground ran there for the CB. The antenna does come up, but it doesn't do it by itself. I don't know if it was ever supposed to, so we just keep it down for the radio. Other than that, this big old hunk of steel here has ridden on the back of this 2 or 3 times, and hasn't had any issues. So the only thing I suggest doing, if you get it before we do it, like I said, the longer we have it, the more we'll do. We're gonna undo all the screws, take this whole thing up. Now the way we did it is we put all these down first, and then we put these 2x4s in place to bring them together, to keep them flat together, and then we put this on the end to hold the 2x4s flat. Well, we take that back. We put this on and then took that on. We did it that way. Either which way, in order to get this bed off in one piece, it's quite simple but tedious. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws all the way up. Now we did take some of the screws out that were sticking out on the side so we could reuse them, but basically there's a lot of screws that go all the way up here, and then here, starting at the fender wells forward, because there's nothing to connect to here, there is screws going up there. Let me make sure this is dry. We just painted that. Oh. All right. So as you can see, starting at the fender well, you've got screws all the way up, screws all the way up, screws all the way up, screws just here, screws just here for the in between the fender wells, which the goal is, like I said, when we take this completely off, take out all these screws. The whole bed will come up as one. We'll get some jacks, some off-road jacks to lift it up. We'll put 2x6s on the frame all the way back where you can see all those screw holes. We'll do 2x6s, oh excuse me, 6x6s. 6x6s just like the box trucks have. That'll bring this up about probably an inch or so over these fender wells, at which point we'll bolt the bed back down, take these apart, and go ahead and get one continuous 2x4 to redo this, so that you don't have that lift like you do there and the split like you do there, because we didn't have a piece that was that long. When we do that, we're going to also be, this is the bumper. This is 14 foot, just under 14 foot. We're going to be extending it also out to 16 foot, probably, if we go that far, just because of the little extras. However, we wanted it kind of shorter because of the short wheelbase. When you turn, you have, like, if you're in a tight parking spot, it makes it so hard to pull out. So if I were you, if you want it to the 16, if we do it to the 16, take up 2 spots, because if you don't and you turn, you're going to bump somebody if they're right up on you. That's the only issue with the extension as far as that goes. So yeah, what we're doing today is essentially shoring up the wiring underneath. We're gonna zip tie that one over there so it's nice and hidden, put away. Everything works in here. The radio, the only issue is when you turn on the vehicle, the radio automatically resets back to default. There's no saving your radio stations. The capacitor that's inside that's supposed to hold the power to save that stuff is dead. Replacing the radio would be the better option, because sometimes when you start the truck, the radio doesn't even want to play music. It'll what it'll do, which I don't understand why it does it, is when you turn it up all the way and you hear the beep. Yeah, that beep, you'll hear that, but you won't hear music. It's like you're not getting an antenna signal. But it works, as you can see. Yeah, but see, like, let's say I were to save this one here, See, I just saved it. When I turn off the truck, turn the truck back on. See? It doesn't save it. I have to manually do it. It does start right up. When it's cold, you do have to pump the gas to set the idle. I've already done that. Alright, let's turn the radio back off. So it does start right up. Sometimes you have to give it a second when it's cold. I pump it 3 times to prime the fuel into the carburetor, and then it also sets the cold start. Now this one has the spring-loaded cold start, meaning that if you tap the gas once it's started, the cold start will automatically disengage, and it will not re-engage until you turn off the vehicle and turn it back on. So let it warm up, or if you do it, just make sure you put it in neutral when you come to a stop, you know, if you have to go quickly. This is the isolator. When we got it, we thought the alternator was bad. Turned out to be this isolator is bad. So what we ended up doing to charge the front batteries, we just connected the charge directly to that battery. Also, it melted the fuse or capacitor, whatever the heck this is that goes to the back battery. It's been melted because of that, because it was connected there. So we ended up just taking off the wire so that nothing gets there that's power. I do not believe the alternator is original. It does look newer than everything else, so that's probably been changed within, no, not too long ago, before I got it, of course. There's no leaking in the brakes. However, they are kind of spongy. I think this should be bled. It's on the to-do list, but I drive it as it is. Just takes some getting used to. The ground for the battery actually is here, right there. It had another ground that goes somewhere, probably went to the frame at one point. I extended it up to here because this is not the correct battery, and the plate's all rusted, so it won't sit straight up. So at this point, I leave it like this. All this is it goes to this plug here, and that one's actually wired in for a trickle charger I have for it, which I'll let go with it. It's a small box. You could mount it in here if you wanted to. These heavy gauge wires here that you see this little red loop on, that is for the inverter. I did that so that, you know, if you take it apart, you know that red loop is positive because they're both black wires. They didn't have any red. All the connectors and everything seem to be fine. Like I said, it starts, runs, and drives. But all the vacuums are, most of the vacuum lines, if not all of them, are gone. They've rotted away. Cruise control does not work, but it will if you replace the vacuum line. As far as I'm aware, the vacuum, when I hooked the vacuum line to the rubberized piece that runs the, it's like almost like an airbag that when it sucks in and collapses itself, and when it does that, it pulls the cable to do cruise control. It is still in good condition. It still does its thing. It's just the controller, I don't know where the vacuum lines go, so I haven't done that, haven't worried about it. This, I do have the panel that goes underneath here to hide all this. I just took it off to test a short that we had. We fixed that. And then over there, I have the panel that goes under there as well. That just fell off. We got to put a couple screws in it. No big deal. The backup camera is essentially, it's a BAMI monitor. It's literally what it is. And it's it runs on house power, and it's wireless. That can go with it if you want it. If not, I mean, we'll put it to use here or something. We use it for essentially a center mirror and when we back up, because there's a small delay to it, but it works once you get used to it. Also, you can watch your load, so if there's something back there, you can watch it as you drive. That's pretty much it. We had a window that was going to go back here, but we ended up breaking it because, you know, we're idiots sometimes. Those wires up there ran through the curtain rod pieces are for the CB. I ran some wire loom here, so when we hook up everything, you can run wires directly through there into these. I suggest that if you do want to do something different here, that you make it openable so you can stand out there, you know, if need be. You know, you can get up in here and stand and get up to stuff. It just, you never know when you need a ladder, and this truck could be one. This is for the oogle horns. I don't have a button for it right at the minute, so we have them to toggle. They're not that loud right now because the engine's not running. These wires here are, this is for the oogle horn, this is OEM, and this right here is running to the ambers up top. As you can see, it's not ran to anything yet. That wire loom there is for the inverter. And so as you can see, yeah. But the other thing is this vehicle does take the old style fuses. It doesn't take the new ones. It takes the old tube fuses. If I were you, I would just take those out and wire. They just unplug the female connector. Then you can just plug that female connector directly into a fuse, and like a modern day fuse. And it's a redneck way of doing it, but it works. Or you can get yourself a fuse box, or you can even wire in actual fuse pieces. You can get them pretty cheaply. So all the marker lights and everything work as they're supposed to. Second fuse box there. There is a short on this light here, as you can see when I do stuff like that, it moves. I'm guessing it's this bulb hanging out. I haven't taken it apart to look at it. This thing, however, is good because it has the old vacuum lines. What I mean by that is, like, you know how your vacuum cleaner has those rubber hoses, the plastic rubber hoses? That's what runs all these vents. So if ever you get a lot of dust or something in here, you can take those apart and blow them out and then put them right back in. They're not plastic, they're not fixed. So you can do a lot more with those. This thing does not like to latch. This is for your radio. That goes to the ones that went to the back, which I capped those off. So if you wanted to put speakers on the outside, so while you're doing some work or something, you can listen to some music. There are wires going still back there. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the propane tank. Still smells like propane, but I washed the outside and painted it. It's now converted to onboard air. So that'll be good if you want to pump up tires, run an air horn, whatever. There's no pump on it yet, but I just fill it up at the house, and there's a hose to do so. I just got to put the only reason there's a hose on there right now instead of a quick connector is because I couldn't find my quick connector. I went up and picked up another one that'll go on there. That piece there never needs to be used. This was the fill, that was the exit, but that was the fill cap. So I switched them around and I drilled out that one, so it's a full blast, so there's no limitation, because they were, I think it was like a one way, and then when it came back it was very slow. I fixed that. I drilled it out so that it gives you full pressure. As you can see, the tires, they hold air, they're going good, but you can see they are quite dry rotted. These here really don't hold any load at all. It's the inner ones that really do, unless you have a full load. And the reason this looks so cracked is because it is sitting mainly on that tire. So, but it doesn't leak or anything, at least not yet. Here's the other chain box. This one actually has chain in it. As you can see, chains, jumper cables, everything else. Tow chains and everything can go with it for asking price. But if, you know, like I said, if people that talk me down and stuff like that, which is completely fine, I just take all the extras off. Things that, like I said, that will not go with it. The straps that are in that box probably will not go with it. I might leave you like 4 of them in there, just for standard load straps. The backup camera can go with it. The inverter will not be going with it. The CB can go with it. All depends. Like I said, all this extra stuff up here can go with it. The Oogle horns probably will go with it. The lights will probably go with it. The ambers probably can stay on there. Like I said, yeah, that's about it. I need a, nope, I still got some. Yeah, it doesn't leak any coolant or anything, as you can see. I don't know if you can tell, but still got right there at the maximum line, just under. This was a touch-up I did a while back because it was curled over and it had a fray in it, so I cut a piece of line out and did that. This part I did not put on there, but that's an extension someone else did. Yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else you want to know, anything else you want to check out, just let me know.